outside the first 3 and out, our offense was what it should be, and that was extremely efficient. I think we had 5 consecutive touchdowns leading into the second half. Our defense gave up, I think, 31 yards. So, what you're looking for is a dominating performance in the first half, and we certainly got that. So, really pleased with the way our guys handled the game, the way they prepared, and then their performance certainly showed that. Now we're into the SEC for, a couple of months. And so each and every week is a challenge. We know the opposition each week will certainly test us. But now you lean on, your foundational principles. You lean on, what your process is and how you go to work every day, your habits, the way you prepare. And at times you're going to have to be leaning on guys that haven't started. This tests your depth within your program. It tests your roster. And so all those things will come into play as we move into the next couple of months, excuse me. So Ole Miss, certainly a rivalry game, playing for the Magnolia Trophy, the Bowl Trophy. I think everybody knows this is a game that goes way back, and certainly the last couple of years it was decided on the last plays of the game. Ole Miss is an outstanding football team, well coached. Lane does a great job, and again, they have an established winning culture and certainly an offense that has, again, put up, incredible numbers offensively. And they do it with 2 quarterbacks now, which is very difficult to do, but they've managed it quite well with Simmons and Chambliss. Both of them have been extremely effective and efficient through their first couple of games, throwing and running. So you've got a dual threat situation. I think Lacey is one of the best backs in the league. Harrison, an outstanding wide receiver. They've got some veteran offensive linemen. And so they're so, obviously efficient at what they do and how they do it. This is what they do. And it's very similar week in and week out. And certainly the balance that they have in running and throwing the football. Defensively, Harris, Daughtery at linebacker, and Perkins at the edge. They've got an inside presence, they've got an outside presence, and they certainly have it at the linebacker, who kind of, makes things happen for them. So, again, a great challenge for us, one that we're looking forward to. We got to go on the road. Anytime you go on the road in the SEC, it's a great challenge, and we recognize that going into this week. So that will open up the questions.
Brian, just to get started, updates on West Weeks, Caden Durham, Gabe Relaford, and Trades Green. What is their status now heading into the week?
West Weeks ran yesterday. I think we got him at 90%, so I would say that he is probable for this game leading into it. Trades will play. He was pretty good in pregame, and then we felt like, we could hold him back for another week. Caden Durham will be a day-to-day situation. He was better than we had first thought. Doesn't show the signs of a high ankle, so he's anxious to give it a shot and play, but we'll monitor him throughout the week. Gabe Relaford has a subluxation of his shoulder, so he is out this week, and then we will determine whether surgery is necessary or he can play with it. We certainly want to respect the fact that in this situation, a defensive lineman, you want to make sure he's healthy and pass rush. And if he can't compete at the level he needs to, then we'll look at the options that are in front of us, and surgery could be an option. I think that covers everybody.
Hey, Coach. The last time you went to Oxford, you scored 49, didn't win the game. I think you referenced that as a low point for you guys defensively. How much better do you feel this time around with this defense going there?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about, even the Clemson game, right, Jacques? You feel better about those games because you're taking a defense that can stand up against the environment, going on the road and all those things. And we're a much more cohesive group. The roster's better. The players are better. Those were good, tough kids that played hard for us. But, we're a little short in some areas. So we bring a defense with us. Now we'll have to match, obviously, I don't know about all the points, but we got to score too, like we talked about last week. I mean, we can't, be scoring a touchdown or 10 points. That's not going to cut it in the SEC. So continue to play at the level that we have defensively, and then bring your offense up to the level that it needs to be to win games in the SEC.
Brian, it kind of appeared that DJ Chester would become sort of your sixth man, would go anywhere on the offensive line. Without him for the first half,
Yeah.
where does it leave you if you do need a backup?
Yeah, I mean, it's one that we have to adjust to this week. Braden Augustus went in there and did a solid job for us. This is the backup center. He'll be called on to do that again. Karius Kern now steps into that rotating tackle position for us. We have enough depth inside with Paul and Colin Eccles, and then Ori Williams got a lot of play and did some really good things. So we just have to switch it up in the first half if we, in fact, have to go to a number 2.
Coach over here, I know you just referenced it, but playing two different quarterbacks potentially with Ole Miss and what they have. I know y'all just played two different quarterbacks in Southeast. Coach Selfley, that's what he wants to do. So how does that really help the team prepare, especially defensively, knowing that you're playing as potentially two quarterbacks this weekend?
Yeah, I think it was in some instances it would be like Texas A&M last year. Those are two different quarterbacks. One was a pro-style quarterback, and one was certainly a dual threat that could run zone reads, do things of that nature, and it changes you dramatically. This week both these quarterbacks are similar. Now they have different skill sets in terms of but they can run the same offense with both of these players. So I'm not saying it's easier. It's hard, right? You've got two really good players, but it's not as that one is a pro-style quarterback and is not going to run, and the other one is simply a dual threat. They're both very similar.
Brian, I got 2 on Ole Miss if I can. How much and how effective does Ole Miss use tempo to their advantage? And then a lot of people consider Lane to be a great in-game play caller. What in your opinion, constitutes being a great in-game play caller?
Yeah, their tempo is the best in the league. So, you have to get lined up. And in some instances, it keeps you from doing too much. You got to get your cleats in the ground. You've got to be fundamentally sound. And I think, Lane does a great job adapting to what's going on in the game itself, right? And I think more than anything else is that, you can plan for things to happen, right? But then you have to be able to prepare what's the next step. And he's obviously very experienced at what he does. And during the game, he can adjust as he sees that he needs to.
Coach, with DJ Chester starting the second half at right tackle, what do you sort of see in him as a potential tackle option for you guys, even if he's going to miss the first half of the next game? And what does Weston Davis sort of need to improve on in order to fortify his spot a little more?
Yeah, I don't. That position's not up for grabs. Like Weston Davis has done a really good job. He needed a break. We needed to get him back to where he needs to be as one of the 5 guys working together. So it was a good learning experience for him. But more importantly, we wanted to get DJ some more tackle reps. As you know, he's gotten plenty of center reps. He started 13 games for us last year. So this was more of an opportunity to get him in the game and get some more tackle reps because, as referenced earlier, he's our first guy in at any one of those 5 positions.
Coach, how do you view your running back room going into this game with Caden being nicked and Jawan? Has he earned more touches with the way he's playing?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did a great job. I think Caden, certainly will be in the mix provided he's healthy, and early indications are that, he's going to be able to play. We'll see how it goes during the week. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but, we got a good report on him yesterday, and then this morning when we moved them around, it was positive. So you'll have both those guys, and I thought Caleb Jackson probably had his best game of the year in terms of seeing things, hitting them, playing physical, catching the ball out of the backfield. He was outstanding on the times that we had some 2-back runs in there leading as well. So I still think we have those 3, and then, we keep bringing Harlem along as he continues to grow within the offense. So I don't think we go into the game, shorthanded in any respect.
I guess just following up on Cobble's question a couple minutes ago, just the Kiffin versus Blake Baker. These are obviously two very highly regarded offensive and defensive minds. Just as a football coach, fan of football, just what do you like about just the opportunity those two get to kind of mix and match each
Well,
other?
I think we're at the point that we know each other very well. I mean, both teams, for me, this is, certainly the fourth time we've played against each other. Blake's done it when he's at Missouri too. So there's no tricks really. It's not like, I never saw that coming. I think you have, when you get down to it, it's the team that really is executing at the highest level and doing the little things the right way. They're going to get theirs. There's no question. That's a great offense. But I think that's played a little bit too much because they know each other so well and they know what to expect, and both of them on offense and defense know how to make the appropriate adjustments.
Last week you talked about wanting your offense to play a little looser and freer. I guess
Yeah.
Garrett echoed those sentiments in the postgame, saying he felt like that was the case. Did you see that on film? What did you like about your team in that instance and that they were able to just get out there and play?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's kind of going back to what I said earlier is that I want our teams not to be so scripted. And I thought we got a little scripted offensively and, to the point where, it was so planned out and then the game starts. And then you got to adapt and adjust. And so I think as you talk about the offensive structure, I think it's continually find ways to run the ball and have a running game. And then let Garrett Nussmeier do what he does, and he loves to throw the football down the field. So I think, being a little bit more aggressive on fourth down, we had the 3 fourth down situations. I think it just, from my perspective and talking to our players, they just felt better about how we attack things, and we'll have to continue to do that moving forward.
Coach, Patrick Payton has affected the game, it feels like, more than just what shows up in the stat sheet, obviously with the injured Relaford. You just talk about what he's provided through the first, month of the season and what you like about him?
It's a great question. We were just talking about it, his unselfishness. He's not out there looking for sacks. He's out there, playing the defense. And that's going to serve him well down the road when NFL teams start to really look at his effectiveness. You come here and you're like, well, I want to, make sacks and get the, the bling plays. He's been really effective as being 1/11th of that defense. We've been really good because those guys, not just him, but Jack, and certainly Jamari, who had a really good game Saturday, they have done their jobs and not gone outside the lines to try to get individual statistics, and really proud of all of them. Well, again, I think, you recruit somebody and you see him on film and you see the things that you really like about him. I'm not surprised after getting a chance to know him since he's been here that he's a guy that's going to do the things for your team first and foremost. And you don't know that till you get a chance to know him. But, I thought we did a really good job of, vetting the players that we brought in out, and all he really wanted when we recruited him was to play for a championship.
Ryan, just how do you feel about the fact that LSU is not going to play Alabama on an annual basis? It's been reported that it'll be Arkansas as the third opponent. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm fine with the way it's set up because within 4 years you're going to play them home and away. So, yeah, you might not get them every year, but you're going to get them enough where it continues to take the big game approach to playing Alabama. So the way the schedule's set up, I feel really good about what it looks like and all the teams that we're going to get a chance to play in the SEC.
Coach, I want to ask you about a local kid, Dylan Carpenter, gets in the game, gets a quarterback sack, has been on the team for 3 years. How do you feel about, getting rewarded for sticking around? And were there any other guys in the game who did something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, here's a guy that has waited for his opportunity. We went into the portal and took some guys, and he just kept working hard every day. And so it's great to see those kind of stories with a kid from the state that had some success on Saturday, and he played well. I think he's built trust with our defensive staff and everybody, including myself, that we can put him in the game, and he's going to be a good, solid player for us. I think if you look across the board, you have like a number of guys that have had to be selfless. The first guy that comes to mind is Chris Hilton. He goes out there and plays his tail off. He's blocking. He's doing all the things. He could easily say, what about mine? Why am I not getting mine? And certainly he wants the ball. He's a competitor. And if he didn't want the ball, I'd be worried about that. But he does. But he's a teammate first, and that's why he's a leader of our football team. He would be another great example.
Brian, obviously your offensive personnel is much different now than what it was the last time you played in Oxford. So is there value in, quote unquote, slowing the game down when you guys have the ball offensively to sort of counteract what Ole Miss likes to do with their offense?
No, I don't think so. I think we're built a lot like we were last year. I mean, we're developing the continuity within the offensive line, but we've got weapons on the outside. The running backs are same. I think the two tight end situation that we have is, obviously equal in some respects to last year. So I think we're very similar to last year in that sense. We just can't turn the ball over, and we can't have the 3 and outs that we've had. We've got to maintain possession of the football, and I think defensively, I think they know what to expect. It's going to be up tempo. We're going to have to defend against big plays, and we're going to have to get off the field on 3rd down.
Blake and Corey get a lot of love, obviously, but what about the job Jake has done with that safeties room, and what are your expectations for that group in this game, which could be huge?
Yeah, I mean, Jake has done a great job since he's been here. I mean, again, we're getting more experienced and veteran players on the field, and from a coaching standpoint, let's not overrate this. We've got better players, and those kids played hard for us last year, but these are really good players. And so Blake's a better defensive coordinator. Kevin Peoples is a better edge coach. We're all better. I'm a better coach because we haven't lost the game. All of these things have to do with your players ultimately are playing the game. And we're gonna have a process for them, and we're gonna coach them and teach them. We're tackling so much better, and obviously that's something that we work on. So I don't want to say it's all the players and the coaches have nothing to do with it, but you start there, and then you have an expectation to put those kids in a good position.
A lot has kind of already been reported, and you talked a lot about sort of the effort that went into getting a lot of these defensive players over the past year. But I guess maybe at what point did y'all know that you'd be able to kind of sign these kind of defensive players that you did? And I don't know, is there anything else that kind of went into it that you maybe haven't talked about before?
Well, I mean, you need resources, and our fan base rallied. We had really good support that allowed us to be competitive in what is now an NIL marketplace, if you will. So you need the resources to be able to go out to do that. We built a front office that identified the right talent and was effective in doing so. Then we closed the deal with the ability to have the resources necessary to attract that caliber player. So, it's a number of things. It's having, a fan base, a donor base. It's having a front office. It's and then creating an environment, here at LSU and using the brand of LSU and what it can do. I think all of those things, Wilson, came together as one to get to where we are with this roster.
Coach, with Gabe Relaford out, how do you guys sort of piece together that 4th edge rusher spot to sort of rotate in? Is it going to be a bunch of different guys? Is there a guy that you kind of want to tab for that spot? I was just sort of curious how you guys approach that now.
Yeah, we talked about Dylan. Dylan played quite a bit. We're excited about Dylan. We'll take a look at, CJ and Collage. They're both ready to play for us as well. We'll take a look at Damian Shanklin. We think we have some really good options for that 4th position. We'll miss Gabe this week, certainly, until we decide what his fate is moving forward relative to the shoulder. But we feel really good that we're going to be able to find that fourth guy through all the guys that I just mentioned.
Would you mind just elaborating a bit on Carius Kern, what you noticed when he showed up in the spring to fall camp, then really getting his first extended action on Saturday?
He's an exceptional physical specimen, but we have to be able to turn that into a technically sound offensive lineman, and he's made really good progress. I think we all know that I'm willing to play freshman at that position. We did it in 2022. It's just really difficult, when you're asking somebody to go in and play a position at this level for the first time. There's going to be a learning curve. I like what he's doing. I like the maturity that he's showing and the consistency. And I still think you're going to see him playing in some capacity, and he's got to be prepared to do so.
Any adjustments or challenges with the 230 kick?
No, but it is our first 230 kick in quite some time. I don't know when the last time we played. I can't remember. See, there you go. All right, that's good for me. I didn't remember something. Nothing major. I think that it's not an easy trip, and I told our team that last week, actually. We were talking about the schedule moving forward. You get to Tupelo, and then you're still an hour bus ride, so you got to handle it. You got to mentally lock in and handle that you've got a road trip, and don't be distracted by it. It is what it is, and get your mind right about that, and be prepared. But I don't think the 2:30 start is really something that's out of our comfort zone. We practice every time right around that 2:30 time. No, I don't think we're going to do that this year. Yeah, that's a one-time deal.
Just looking at Garrett after the game, I mean, he's 100%. He's making all the throws he's always been able to make, scrambling, all that. You feel?
Well, you saw him play versus the other teams, and you saw him that night, and I think you could see a difference in what he was doing. He was much more confident throwing the football. I think, he saw opportunities to run. He took it. I thought his escape out of the pocket where he threw the touchdown pass was outstanding. Those are the things that we're looking for from him. And quite frankly, giving him the opportunity to push the ball down the field. He's highly accurate in throwing the ball down the field. So, there's a couple things we can clean up, with him. And I think that's good that there's a couple and he can continue to play better. But it's good to see him back to where he had been prior to the year. And I know he's feeling really comfortable right now.
Coach, with DJ Pickett, he's allowed just 3 receptions all season. What did he sort of need to learn to take that next step and really earn that, increased playing time as the season has sort of gone along?
Yeah, I don't have the rep breakdown, but it was pretty close on Saturday. They were somewhere in that 34, 36 range, and all of them were pretty close. I think you've got, right now we're rolling in with 3, and those 3 guys are pretty talented. And so I think you'll see that continue in terms of his reps. And just more game experience, a couple of times where he was in a position he's got to wrap up and make a tackle, but he's an outstanding player. I mean, we're nitpicking. I mean, here's a true freshman coming in, and he can play at the highest level. Great, thank you.
At Pipe and Steel Industrial, safety is more than a priority. It's a core value. We uphold the highest standards not only in the quality of our products, but in the practices that ensure our team's safety and success. Pipe and Steel Industrial, your trusted partner in industrial pipe fabrication.